Joining the desk now are Tony Gonzalez and D'Angelo Hall, two great former NFL players. Start with you, Marcellus.
Yeah.
I think Big Ben is at the heart of Pittsburgh's problems. He's not a good leader, and they're putting too much of a burden on him.
You did your homework. You had me almost balling up my piece of paper over here and said my notes are not going to help this argument. But I say twofold. One is that they were playing a very strong, formidable opponent that's been understated and not fully respected in the Chargers. So let's just table that right now. But let's talk about Big Ben, the leader. Big Ben, the leader, remember, they have won 6 of their last 8 games. And that was with Big Ben being the leader and going out there and making sure that despite the running game being inconsistent, let's call it what it is, you can say James Conner's having an amazing year because he's third in rushing and third in touchdowns. But we also could say this is not the same offense with James Conner behind center, behind Ben Roethlisberger versus Le'Veon Bell being that same workhorse. Because Le'Veon Bell wouldn't be third. He would be first or second. And I've seen it now. James Conner yesterday before injury, what do you have, 79 scrimmage yards, 18 carries. That's not exactly what's going to give you balance and respect. So this is a situation where you did what most people do. Reputation precedes you. You look at Big Ben and you say leadership, you're not really staying between the white lines. You're not. You're starting to say, oh, well, he's had his issues in the locker room. He's called out his teammates. He's done other things off the field. And it snowballs, and all you need is just one little flake to jump on in and say Big Ben's not a great leader. This is a great leader. This is a 13-3 ball club last year. This is a team that's still leading this division, won 6 of 8, and Big Ben's a large part of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I believe Big Ben is a good leader. I think some of the ways he's calling out his teammates probably can be toned down a little bit. But I saw him after the game. Well, I saw the interview after the game, I should say. I didn't see him personally. And he was forthcoming by saying, hey, I threw that interception. I did this wrong. I did that wrong. And so he's accepting responsibility when he makes the mistakes. But at the same time, I think he has earned the right to call guys out. If you have a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback in his 15th year, if he can't call you out in that locker room, me as a young guy in that locker room, I don't know who else can.
Mm-hmm. Well, then, for me, personally, it better work both ways then. I mean, Antonio Brown going to go in there and say, well, he shouldn't have thrown that interception. He should. That's what I get. Leadership-wise, yeah, there are better leaders out there than Big Ben, for sure. I think if you look throughout the NFL, there's other quarterbacks that I would say are doing it better. Because, first of all, I don't like it when you're talking to the media. I think he's got the radio show. Some players had radio. Hell, I even had one while I was playing. You do this type of stuff, you put yourself in a position to get criticized. I don't understand why Tom Brady even does it. I believe that Ben is a great quarterback, no doubt about it. But at the same time, his leadership, I question a little bit. And this is coming from a guy, if I could go back to my locker room when I was younger, I saw Dick Vermeil last week, and we were talking shop, and I said, man, you know what? I wish I would have done it a little bit better for you, Coach, because I could have changed it. I think when he gets back a little bit older, he'll look back and say, I could have handled things a little bit differently.
See, when I look back at this game last night, the big thing to me is just the defense. Like, the defense didn't come back out and play great. If you watch that first half, Pittsburgh controlled the offensive and defensive lines. In the second half, it was a totally different ball game to the point that I didn't even believe that was the same team. So I don't know what speech Coach Lynn gave those guys in their L.A. locker room, but whatever he did definitely galvanized his troops because they were a different ball club, and it hit Pittsburgh right in the mouth, and they weren't
D'Angelo, you had to know, though. You hold Phillip Rivers. He's been hot. You hold him to 7 points. You know he's going to do something in the second half. It's a matter of time. And so if you have a running game, and this is where I don't put it all on Ben. I blame the coaching staff or whatever.
Yeah.
If you have a running game, lean into it, get some balance. Look around the league at what everybody else is doing, and the Steelers are still out there. Now we're going to drop back and sling it 45 times. With Ben, it's too much on his plate. He's a bad decision maker. He done told you, I don't care about interception. He told you.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like he's not aware of the league that he's in now. It's an efficiency league. Those turnovers are more magnified than in the old NFL than they are right now. He's got to realize that and be more careful with the ball, and they got to protect him from himself. Look at the older quarterbacks around the league and how much more efficient they are and how much more they're leaning into their running game. Ben and the Steelers are doing just the opposite. with a quarterback whose decision-making from day one has been sloppy.
Yeah, it's tough to say that because the numbers don't support it, even though the optics may. The optics are...
He's got 26 TDs and 13 interceptions, Marcellus.
Yeah, also, but we're talking in a win-loss-sum game. I looked it up just now. The 6 performances that you're talking about where Big Ben has went out there and thrown for 45-plus passes. You know what his record is? 3-3. Like, we win some, we lose some. But guess what? It's not just that.
You think that's a 500 football team with all that personnel?
I don't. I'm saying, you're saying just in attempts. So then I say, let's go bigger than that. Big Ben in the 2 losses that they've had, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's not like he's out there. Cam Newton threw 4 in one game, and we're talking about him in the MVP conversation. We're talking about Big Ben is still a leader of a team that is formidable. What's happening is the numbers support that the running game is starting to evaporate. And we don't want to poke at the great story of James Conner, but it's starting to, whether it's by injury or whether it's just by production, we're starting to see a little tail off.
Some of it's by lack of commitment. They just not running the ball. They chose that.
They're not Baltimore. I respect that. But there's a reason why they're also not fully committed to their running game as well. Yesterday was not about that. Yesterday was about playing the L.A. Chargers, which is a real deal team that most people didn't respect, and then they woke up in the second half.
Don't you think this, though? We're looking at Ben, but I always believe this, too. He's not the only leader on that team now. Coach Tomlin is the leader, too. Mm-hmm. So I don't care who it is. You look at Belichick that said Tom Brady has a radio show. But Tom Brady never says anything controversial on it. And I'm sure that was in a conversation when he first went to his coach. And I know for sure he had to ask Belichick, is it okay if we do it? Because that's not the Patriot way. And I'm sure Belichick said, as long as you handle your business, don't do anything that embarrass us. This guy's on a radio show. Tomlin is an emotional guy. This is just who the Pittsburgh Steelers are. I think it's bad leadership all the way around.
Listen, I think that Big Ben has more leverage in that organization than even Tomlin. And this is where I've been saying this. And again, Big Ben's one of my favorite players, but he's just wrong a lot of times. And in terms of the tone that he sets, and he has labeled himself just last week, I'm a gunslinger. He has no awareness. The gunslinger era is over.
He threw 1 pick, and you call him a gunslinger to a negative connotation.
He threw it 45 times and 56 times.
And 1 pick in 45
That's all
attempts?
It takes.
Okay, but here we go. Big Ben was not wrong 2 weeks ago when he called out Antonio Brown. You may not like the method, but he called him out. What did Antonio Brown do yesterday in the first half? Catch touchdowns. And they came out on fire. And then the second half was about
the LA Chargers. They awarded him a trophy at halftime.
Yeah. Second half, he had 4 catches for 30 yards. And in the first half, he had, I think, 6 or 7 for 120.
But you just told me the defense is what actually got taxed in the second half.
The defense got taxed?
Right.
A lot of individual players didn't perform. That's why I say what the Chargers did, whatever they went in that locker room and did, was much more inspiring to that group than whatever Pittsburgh said.
Because they're a good football team. The Chargers are a good playoff-type football team.
But you don't lose a game when you're up 23-7, 9
at
out of
home.
10 times.
I can tell you the recipe for it. First of all, it's not hocus pocus. Tony's right. This is a good team that had to wipe the fog from their eyes, traveling cross-country primetime, not used to both of those. And then what happened, D'Angelo, was this. No Melvin Gordon for the first half. They had to get used to, this is our new offense going forward for the next few weeks. Second half, they came out with the adjustments and said, we're a damn good team. Let's go get this. And that's all they did.
You use your running game and keep them on the sidelines. You never allow Joey Bosa to get into the game with a sack if you're committed to your running game. Look at what Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are doing with the commitment to the running game. That's not a great running game, but they're committed to it. Look at what's going on in their own division. Just like I said, they got an option quarterback that's won 3 straight games. There's a commitment to the running game. Everybody, Patrick Mahomes, and I love him to death, and I love what the Chiefs are doing. But they're going to come find out in December and January, man, if you can't run the ball, you're running the risk of what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2-game slide. I think they have the Patriots and the Saints left on their schedule.
Yeah.
This is a team that's writing a recipe to be sitting around and be like, damn, they missed the playoffs.
Here's another thing, too.
They're going to be all right.
I've talked about the reality show that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're the reality show of the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's like the Kardashians, man. Say what you want about it. They're successful. And
Hell
they
yeah.
always do well. We're always going to talk. They're always relevant. So I want to recant what I said. I don't think it's bad leadership. I don't know what to say about it. It's crazy leadership because they win, though. Tomlin does all this stuff. Ben does all this stuff. He's dramatic. He's like
Now
Hulk
you're on
Hogan.
the island, Jason. He
But
recanted.
I'm not going to recant and say it's bad.
Come on over
It
here.
works, though. I can call it bad leadership. It's not my style, but it works for them. They're doing something right because I would have loved to have played on that team and been dysfunctional and win 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
Say
you know
it.
what I mean?
Say
Me
it.
too. See, I'm not saying that this team has a chance to win a Super Bowl, but I do think that this team will still win their division and still get in the playoffs. And so they still have their flaws that they aren't going to fix overnight that we all can see. Obviously, Big Ben throwing interceptions and things like that.
Interception.
And calling guys out.
Shun. Not
Thrown
shun.
13
It's not
this
plural.
season.
Okay,
It's not plural.
yeah.
He's
But-
thrown 13 this season. You know, the only one guy's thrown more, Sam Darnold, a rookie. That's a problem. That's a problem. Look, here's the issue with Ben. If you take Brady and the Belichick partnership, there's a partnership there, and they're committed to a style of play that works for the long marathon of a season. And when Tony talks about the dysfunction and the Kardashian nature of the Steelers, he's absolutely right. You got Khloe Kardashian out at wide receiver and Antonio Brown. You got Kim Kardashian at quarterback. You got Kendall Jenner set out the entire season in Le'Veon Bell.
You are good.
It's a little side.
No, he
show.
watching. No, he know all of it.
I love it. I love
It makes sense.
It's a little sideshow everywhere of agendas.
Yeah.
And the team and winning is not the top priority. AB better get his numbers. Juju Schuster-Smith better get his numbers. Le'Veon Bell, if I don't get this contract, I'm out of here. Big Ben, I want to be a gunslinger, and I'm the Brett Favre. There's a lack of awareness of what it is the other great teams are doing to be consistent and win. This Pittsburgh team, by talent, should be at the top of the league. When you start throwing...
Oh, you still think talent is all it takes, huh?
No,
You're
I
that
think
guy,
a
right?
commitment to
They're
a...
second in win percentage since Mike Tomlin's been there. Second to only Bill Belichick. So will you please stop trying to slice this up to where Ben Roethlisberger is a problem for a second most winningest team
This
in the
year.
NFL?
Let's remember we
they're
talking
still
this
leading their
year.
division. Why you ain't picking
They
apart
7-4-1, man.
Why you not
This
picking
is
apart
under-
James Conner like this? Because James Conner, since Le'Veon Bell decided not to come back, has only had 60
What's
yards.
James Conner getting paid?
Oh, now it's about pay scale, huh? So then why is Juju out there getting all this love? If it's by pay scale, Juju ain't getting paid. So here's the thing. 60 yards, 40 yards, 60 yards. Hey,
There's
bruh.
no commitment.
Hey, bruh.
You gotta run, you gotta have touches in order to do better than that.
I give you
There's
that.
no commitment. And the reason why is because if AB don't get his numbers, he ain't happy. If Big Ben ain't allowed to be a gunslinger, he ain't happy. Le'Veon done set out the whole year over a contract. Juju Smith-Schuster, he wants his numbers. Again, by talent, this is where I kind of disagree with you, D'Angelo, is just like, by talent, Pittsburgh should be doing better. When you throw T.J. Watt onto their defense, and now they have a pass rushing force, their linebacker and secondary coach, that's a Super Bowl team this year.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen. And I think the quarterback sets the tone for their underachievement. And I love the guy.
There's no team in the AFC you can stretch and say Kansas City, but you just said it as well. Be careful, Kansas City, December, January time. So there's no team to fear out there. You can go with the resume of the
Houston.
Patriots.
Houston, right now. Right now, Houston.
Oh, my.
New England.
Oh, my.
Like the San Diego
Fear
Chargers.
or just like respect fully? That's not a fear.
Over the NFC, there's a bunch of teams.
There's two ways to do it. Like you just said, I love that analogy. I really, really do but I also will say, agree with you guys too. They both work though, but one works a little bit better. The New England Patriots. That's the way you do it. That's the gold standard. They don't do it that way, but they still win because they got the talent. The Kim Kardashians. It's not my style. I don't watch the shows.
I'm trying to.
I watch House of Cards. It's better.
I'm trying to think of who the other family, who's a high-class version of the Kardashians. That's who the Patriots are, and I'd rather be them.
Knowing you, the Waltons. Or something.